Hello and welcome to this screencast on individual differences. So we are still looking at attitudes. This is part 2 of attitudes. So far we've looked at definition of attitude, factors affecting attitude formation, and the components of attitude. Today what we're going to be focused on is methods of attitude change. Okay, so persuasive communication and cognitive dissonance. First of all, before we get started, I want to kind of remind us of the components of attitude and this whole process of positive consonants here. So if all three of these components of attitude, these elements, cognitive is the belief towards an attitude objective, affective is the emotion towards an attitude objective, and then finally behaviour is our actions towards an attitude objective. If all three of these agree, we've got this term positive consonants, okay, consonants, so they are all in agreement. For example, running is good for my health is my belief. My emotion when I run is I enjoy it. Then finally, therefore, my actions are I go running 3 times a week. However, not everyone likes running and not everyone enjoys running. So it's really important we're able to change an individual's attitude towards running in some aspects. Okay, so I'm just going to give us negative consonants now. Okay, so negative consonants, the cognitive is beliefs towards an attitude or object. Running causes injury is my belief. Therefore, my emotions and feelings towards an attitude objective, such as running, is I don't actually enjoy running. And then finally, because of this, I refuse to go. Running is my action, it's my behaviour. So this is negative consonants. Okay, this is when these three things are not in agreement, and it's called negative consonants. So what we need to do is we need to be aware of how we're going to change this negative attitude that an individual may have towards running, for example. We're going to stick with running here. So, first of all, methods of attitude change. We're actually going to start with this term cognitive dissonance. Okay, so dissonance, just so you know, means disharmony. Okay, that's simply what it means. So we need to be aware now of what this term cognitive dissonance is, and then how this is used to change our attitude or someone's attitude. Okay, so first of all, this is a content qualifier, cognitive dissonance, so it has to be in the question for you to discuss it. Okay, so just be aware of that. So what is it? Okay, so this is the process of creating disharmony between the components of attitude. Okay, you have to do this by changing 2 or more components of attitude. So we've got cognitive attitude, or we've got cognitive element of attitude, we've got the affective, and then we also have behavioural. So if we use the example we just used with regards to someone disliking running, disliking, so not enjoying it, thinking it causes injuries, and then also therefore they do not run, they refuse to run, we've got negative consonants and we have to change this. So we have to create disharmony between these components, 2 or more of them. If we change 2 or more of these components of attitude, we're potentially going to change, or we're going to be able to change someone's attitude. So this first one, cognitive dissonance, that's what it is. So how? So first of all, we have to change something. We're going to start with the cognitive component here. You don't have to, but it's quite important to change someone's belief. If you change someone's beliefs, then it's possibly going to be easier for you to change the other things that go with it. So plus it's in the name of the method as well. Cognitive dissonance and creating disharmony. Let's start with changing cognitive components. E.g., running prevents coronary heart disease. What I'm going to say with this now is imagine you are a doctor, imagine you are a PT, okay? Imagine if, let's go with doctor, you're a doctor and someone comes with you who is at risk of becoming obese and therefore at risk of getting coronary heart disease, and they dislike running because it could cause injury, etc. We have to change the narrative now. We have to tell them we need to change their cognitive component. We need to change their belief. Running will prevent coronary heart disease. Okay, so we try and get this message across to them. What else can we change? Okay, so running prevents coronary heart disease. So we need to change the effect component. We need to change their emotion towards running. So they actually start enjoy running because running releases endorphins. We know this as sports scientists. We get endorphin rush when we exercise. It makes us feel good. So all of a sudden, this person knows that running prevents coronary heart disease. Then all of a sudden they start to run to prevent this coronary heart disease. They start to enjoy it because it's releasing endorphins. And then finally, we can also change the behavioural component as well. So now this person goes running 3 times a week. Okay, so changing these components will create an attitude change using cognitive dissonance, the process of creating disharmony. So we're starting to create disharmony between the 3, don't like running, causes injury, don't enjoy it, I'm not going to do it. We're starting to change what happens. And now we're saying, well, actually, running prevents coronary heart disease. Okay. I know that running prevents coronary heart disease, so I'm going to run, and my behaviours change. I'm now running 3 times a week. That would be enough. They don't necessarily have to enjoy it because we only need to change 2 of them. So they know running prevents coronary heart disease. They change their behaviour. They start to run 3 times a week. Now, when they're doing this, they actually do realise after time they do start to enjoy it because of this release of endorphins. And before you know it, you've actually changed all 3 components and you've changed someone's attitude. So when we create this disharmony, when we create this disruption, this conflict between the components, we actually cause a drive to remove this disharmony of not liking it and regaining consonance, regaining this positive consonance of all 3 components and elements of attitude being positive. We regain positive consonance. So that is what cognitive dissonance is. Ultimately, changing 2 or more of the components of attitude by creating disharmony. That's what dissonance means, disharmony. Okay, so that's the first method. Our second method we're going to be looking at is persuasive communication. Now, we need to actually be aware of who persuades, what do they communicate, and who needs to receive the information. These are kind of like the key terms. We need to know these 3 parts of persuasive communication. There are 3 parts of persuasive communication. You will be asked to discuss persuasive communication. This is where we are getting our marks. So first of all, who persuades? It is a significant other or role model that will be the persuader. Okay, so persuasive communication has to come from a significant other, e.g., a parent or a coach persuading the player to go training. So what do they actually communicate to the individual? They provide a relevant message. Okay, the message has to be relevant that they're giving, or else you're not going to be interested in it. So they provide a relevant message, e.g., going to a spin class will help lose weight. If your coach or your parent is telling you this, this is going to help change an attitude by using persuasive communication. And finally, who receives the information? It has to be to a recipient who must have a desire to change the attitude. Okay, so an overweight person is more likely to want to change their lifestyle. Therefore, if the relevant message is being put across via a significant other, it's more likely that they are going to want to change their attitude towards exercise. So these are the persuasive communications has to come from a significant other. The message has to be relevant to the individual, and the recipient has to have a desire to change their attitude. And you have your examples there. This type of question will come with EGs, similar to the cognitive dissonance one as well. So please use those concrete examples you have in front of you. They are key to this. Like I said, you'll need examples. So they are your notes that you'll be needing for tomorrow's lesson. Thank you for listening. See you soon.